Live at 4, this is 13 News Now.
Chaos in Yorktown. One woman is dead. Another faces a murder charge. This after a shooting this morning at the Walmart Supercenter of George Washington Memorial Highway. Good evening, everyone. I'm Regina Mobley.
And I'm Janet Roach. We've learned that the victim worked inside the Walmart. 13 News Now reporter Jacqueline Lee is live in Yorktown with the latest developments.
You guys, we're learning more about the victim, 27-year-old Jean Bryant. We learned that she was working inside this Walmart in the optometrist office. That's when the sheriff says that 34-year-old Cindy Bryant walked into Walmart with a gun. Apparently the two knew each other, and that's when Cindy confronted Jean about something. They got into a fight, and then that's when the sheriff says that Cindy abducted Jean, forced her outside of Walmart at gunpoint. We spoke with a witness after the shooting today. She said that Jean started running down the parking lot, and that's when Cindy started shooting.
Pow, 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 and she fell out like that. It's terrible. It's sad. You don't do people like that.
And Jean was shot multiple times in the stomach. She did die from her injuries. As for Cindy, she is facing multiple charges tonight, some of which include first-degree murder, abduction, and 2 counts of use of a gun in commission of a felony. So we're working to find out more details. We'll have more for you coming up on 13 News Now at 5. Live in York County, Jacqueline Lee, 13 News Now.
As we creep toward the end of the work week, we're seeing much warmer temperatures across the region. Here's a look at the current temperatures. And while things are unseasonably warm, the threat of showers is not behind us. Let's check in now with Evan.
That's right. We are tracking a chance for an isolated shower, too. We had a few pop up a little bit earlier this afternoon. Again, just a little spritz or two. Not much out there. And we have seen a mix of clouds and sunshine today. But the big story, those warmer temperatures, about 20 degrees warmer now than we were this time yesterday. You can see the mix of clouds and sunshine up on the peninsula right now in Hampton at the Virginia Air and Space Center, looking over towards Hampton University. And temperatures well above normal. Looking at readings in the low 70s in many spots. 71 in Norfolk, 73 in Williamsburg, 71 Wakefield, 73 Edenton. A little bit cooler right near the water. Again, the influence of the bay, the ocean, and the sounds, keeping temperatures in the upper 60s from the eastern shore through the Outer Banks, Virginia Beach, and Hampton, and around Poquoson as well. So if you have evening plans, again, we are looking at the mix of clouds and sunshine, but a very, very warm evening. Notice those temperatures holding in the upper 60s to around 70 degrees right through 9 o'clock, and even overnight lows will be in the 60s, and we are looking at partly cloudy to mostly cloudy skies tonight. Now temperatures will be back up into the low 70s tomorrow, at least for part of the day. So big changes coming up just in time for the weekend. I'll have that weekend outlook coming up in a few minutes.
And now the challenge of trying to understand what drove the suspected gunman to kill 17 people in a high school in Parkland, Florida yesterday. 15 others are wounded. Authorities are still looking for answers surrounding the 19-year-old former student who reportedly was troubled. And so are the grieving students, parents, and staff. ABC's Stephanie Ramos reports from Florida.
The former student, suspected of gunning down 17 people and injuring 15 others, stepped into court for the first time this afternoon.
Are you Nicholas Jacob Cruz?
Yes, ma'am.
19-year-old Nicholas Cruz is facing 17 counts of premeditated murder.
Mr. Cruz, you're going to be held without bond until further order of the court.
Police say Cruz opened fire at his former high school, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, in Parkland, Florida. It was about 2 in the afternoon when the gunshots started outside the school Wednesday. Terrified students hiding in classrooms behind desks.
I feel like I'm in a dream. Like, I don't believe this is real. There's no way to describe what happened.
White male, burgundy shirt, wearing a black hat, and either long black pants or shorts. He mixed in with a group of students that were running westbound.
Cruz eventually caught a few miles away from the deadly scene by this officer from a neighboring department.
Training kicked in. I pulled my vehicle over immediately, engaged the suspect.
Authorities are now learning more about the suspect, described as a loner and crazy by neighbors and other students.
No, he was always what he was. He was always weird, like violent, aggressive.
Some families left in absolute anguish. Friends, strangers, all coming together to remember the victims of one of the deadliest school shootings in the U.S.
Where do we go? Who do we go to? How do we cope? Where do we find the strength?
The Anti-Defamation League tells ABC News a suspect had ties to a white supremacist group. Meanwhile, the FBI is now even looking into how they handled a tip they received last year about a threat the suspect posted on YouTube. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, Parkland, Florida.
I'm so tired of parents burying their children because they were sitting in math class.
Today, survivors of the 1999 Columbine shooting are reacting to the Parkland, Florida massacre. They are calling for a change and sympathizing with survivors. At the Colorado High School nearly 19 years ago, 2 student gunmen killed 12 students and a teacher before taking their own lives. Also speaking out, Colin Goddard writing, "When a kid leaves to go to school, they deserve to come home. We can have to get this right. This needs more than thoughts and prayers. Otherwise, we're doomed to repeat." Goddard survived the Virginia Tech massacre after being shot several times. He is now a gun safety advocate.
Breaking right now, the Senate has voted against a bipartisan proposal that would have given nearly 2 million Dreamers a chance at citizenship. The plan would have expanded the definition of a Dreamer to include people who were as old as 18 when they came to the U.S. In exchange for protecting Dreamers, the plan also included $25 billion to build President Trump's long-promised border wall. One person is dead after a car accident in Virginia Beach. It happened on Oceana Boulevard near Louisa Avenue and Bells Road around 11 o'clock today. Video from the scene shows a car and a cement truck surrounded by police cars. Police were on the scene for hours. We're still working to find out details about any other injuries and how this crash happened.
A woman who reported being raped on the campus of Old Dominion University settles her federal lawsuit against the school. The lawsuit accused the school of unlawfully detaining the woman, intentionally inflicting emotional harm on her, and violating Title IX, which prohibits sex discrimination in education. The woman claimed the school failed to ensure her safety by not having any university staff in the on-campus building where she says she was attacked in 2014.
Offshore drilling, 2 words that are leaving a bad taste in the mouths of local city leaders. Today, the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission came together to stand up against President Trump's plan to expand offshore drilling to Virginia's coast. 13 News Now reporter Allie Weatherton is live at the Virginia Beach oceanfront with more on this developing story.
Well, Janet, at the meeting this afternoon, all the city leaders in the commission opposed the offshore drilling from Virginia Beach here the whole way to Williamsburg. Leaders say it would hurt tourism and definitely hurt the military. Now, members say they don't want it here or even close to our waters, and they're not the only ones against offshore drilling. State leaders like Senator Tim Kaine has already said this is bad for the military. This all comes after the Trump administration announced a plan to lift the ban on drilling in the water off several states, including Virginia and North Carolina.
Tourism's the biggest industry in Virginia Beach, right up there with the military, biggest direct tax source, and obviously an oil spill would be very detrimental, if not disastrous, to the tourism industry. It would take years and years to recover.
Now, coming up on 13 News Now at 5, hear from a business owner here at the oceanfront and what she thinks about the committee opposing the offshore drilling. Live at the oceanfront, Allie Weatherton, 13 News Now.